a absolutely stunning day. I'm in Mansfield at the Mansfield Ski Club, just warming up for the Eager Beaver Gravel Race. Bright sun, not too hot, just wonderful. And it's funny, I actually feel so much more comfortable mentally than I did before the mountain bike race a couple of weeks ago. This just totally feels like my kind of environment, my kind of race. It's going to be quite tough because it's quite hilly. I mean, we're at a ski resort, so that should tell you something. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
You have the one that's just a gravel road with a bit of a sneaky left-hand turn. And the thing with that particular turn, you'll see a single arrow down at about 9K. And as you come down, it's a bit of an off-camber left-hand turn with some loose rocks. Most people make it through, but Ted, the photographer, often gets a picture of someone sliding or someone going headlong into the bush and not actually crashing. But we have that as a series of pictures, and it's very funny. Don't be that person.
Before I get too far into this, and while you're looking at this stunning view, I thought I'd tell you about a bit of a nightmare I had actually filming this race. What I normally do is I'll carry two GoPros with me. One I have mounted on my handlebars, and the other one I keep in my pocket, and I pull that one out to take panoramic views and to actually talk to the camera. Well, in this instance, that camera, the one that I get out of my pocket, ran out of battery almost straight away. I'd only filmed 1 or 2 clips, and then the one that was mounted on my handlebars kept showing an error, so I wasn't sure if I was getting any sort of footage at all. And then, because I was down to one camera, I was very, very conscious of conserving the battery as much as possible. I didn't get quite as much footage as I normally would, but I still think that the footage I got shows this race off in a fantastic light. After that huge descent at the start, you go into a few rolling hills and this nice shaded area, and it was really quite easy, but I was really aware of what was coming next. As you can see, there's a significant bump in the middle of that profile. The full length of that hill, give or take, is about 4.5 to 5 kilometers, and it's said that it peaked out at 8.1%, although my Garmin actually showed it peaking out at 12%. I don't know if anyone else had similar results on their bike computer. Who knows, it might have been inaccurate, but regardless, this was like climbing a wall for a very, very long time. Having said that, I was pretty pleased with how strongly I was climbing. I left the volume on here so you can hear me breathing, but to be honest, my pulse didn't get up very high at all. In fact, I think it peaked at 156, which is really quite reasonable. You could be forgiven for asking, what is somebody who is 57 years old and who generally finishes closer to the back of a race than the front doing entering all of these events? There are lots of reasons, but a main one, surprisingly, is I still have a competitive streak. This race differed from lots of the other races I've done insofar as almost from the start I was with the same group of people, and we were jostling back and forth and changing places depending on whether we were going up a hill or down a hill. And I kind of really got that exciting sense of competition, like I was battling against them. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them said, "Oh, I didn't have any clue that you were there." But that doesn't matter to me. At least in my head, I was competing in the same way as I used to before I had my cardiac arrest.
We're even getting a chance to look around a bit today, which is nice.
After all of that climbing, our reward was this absolutely incredible descent. Although I made my first error here, I stuck to the right hand side and there was a large rut and lots of potholes, and just as I was going to move over to the left, I heard like a guy come just barreling by like an absolute rocket. Look at that legend. And he just disappears into the distance. And I still couldn't go over to the left because I could hear two more people. So I stuck to the right and made sure that I kept myself upright. I let them go by, and once they had, then I could get back over to the left and make a little bit more progress. According to the profile, there were no more significant climbs on the route. There were a couple of short, sharp little climbs, but they weren't concerning me at all. If I knew what was coming, then I would have been concerned. The climbs were sandy, rutted, rocky, and steep. At this point in the race, with only a couple of kilometers to go, I think fatigue was setting in and I wasn't quite thinking as straight as I could, and that's when I made my second rut-related error. Just as I rounded this corner, I had a choice of whether to go left or right. I chose left. A large rut opened up in the middle of the track, and the only way I could have got across it was by jumping it, which I wasn't going to do. So I got off my bike, and once I was off, I was walking. There was no way I was going to be able to remount and start riding up this hill. Seeing other people walking made me feel a little bit better about that, and to be honest, at this point I think walking was just as quick an option as trying to cycle up here. And you'd think walking would be an easier option, but you can tell from my breathing that I was really getting quite fatigued going up here. I was very conscious of not exhausting my GoPro battery. I wanted to save it for my victorious crossing of the finish line. And so I didn't capture my third and thankfully final fatigue-related error. After riding this sandy section for a couple of kilometers, you come out onto asphalt roads, and I soon got my legs back and I started to push on pretty fast over the last kilometer or two. And that's when I rode straight past the entrance to the ski club where the finish line was. Almost immediately my Garmin started screaming at me that I'd gone the wrong direction. But, you know, of course, I didn't quite believe it at first, and so I carried on, and then it screamed at me some more, and I thought, you know what, maybe I should check this out. And so I U-turned and rode a couple of hundred meters back in the direction that I'd just come from, and on that occasion I did find the entrance. Of course, a race that had been this challenging, surprising and tough was going to have one more sting in the tail. It finished at a ski club at the top of a ski hill, and having ground to a halt, I ended up rather unceremoniously pushing my bike across the finish line. Despite the rather unceremonious finish, I did feel as though this was a real step forward for me, and I was really proud of my fitness level and the effort that I'd put in. I can't emphasize enough what a challenging, beautiful and really well organized event this is. And regardless of your ability level, this is going to be a fun challenge for absolutely everyone. One of my favourite things about gravel races like this are the people. All of the friendships I've made and the sense of community that's being built up. If you did this race or the 100-kilometer race, let me know how you did. Also, let me know what races you have coming up. You never know, I might be persuaded to do one more race this season. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I shall see you on the next ride.